Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. It's what day is it? Thursday. It's already the 2nd of September, 2021, Thursday, and we're live. This is Real Talk with Mary Grace. Thank you to everyone who's joined the show. Please say hello as you come in. And if you're watching on replay, especially on YouTube and CloudHub, please leave a comment. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up so that I know you were here. And I wanted to emphasize that I am live now on CloutHub. There was a little bit of a changeover with their servers for a few months there, and I wasn't actually streaming live, but I am now. It's CloutHub channel 111. I'm over there at Mary Grace Media, and you can do that online or you can get the app CLOUTHUB. And that is a censorship free platform that is run by Jeff Brain, and he is not tied up with big tech as far as I can tell. So that's a good thing. And really nice guy, really solid guy. And so, go over there and check it out. And I believe that there is a live chat feature that is coming on that platform as well. And so hopefully we can be more interactive over there. So I'm trying to build up that channel. Go and follow the channel, channel 111. Go follow my profile, Mary Grace Media, on CloutHub, and make sure you're following, not friending, because it's sort of like Facebook. I will do friend requests from people that I know personally, but anybody can follow anybody can follow the channel. Okay, anybody can follow Mary Grace Media. So don't be offended if I don't respond to your friend request. It's just it's just a kind of a confusing setup over there. Now, hope everybody's doing well. Don't forget to like and follow the on any platform that you're on. If you're on Facebook, make sure you're following the page Mary Grace Media, not just liking the show. You can do both, but make sure you're following. Same thing with YouTube. If you come across my video and you like my content, please make sure that you follow the channel and also give a thumbs up. And that's it for the housekeeping for now, I think. One thing that I will talk about is I mentioned yesterday that I took my dad to the VA hospital, and there were he had a good experience there. I have some pictures for you. He got some hearing aids, and it's a newer technology. They're Bluetooth. They have Bluetooth connectivity with a smartphone. He can hear the TV directly through the hearing aids without blasting everybody else out of the house. And there's a volume button that he can use, and there's also a microphone that family members can use to talk into that he hears directly into the earpiece, so you don't have to yell. And some people were asking about that. I wanted to show it to you. And so, hold on a second. Let me show you this. So I took a picture of some of the items so you can see. It would help if I unplug that. Hold on. See that? So that box in the bottom, that's the TV connector, and you have to hook it into the back of your TV, and it works on anything, cable or Roku or anything like that. And then that little tiny piece is the microphone, and then there's a volume button that you can use. And then the hearing aids themselves, they have a charger, so they don't work on batteries. They work on a charger, so you charge them overnight. And so he forgot to charge them last night, so he couldn't hear today. But we're working on it. And if anybody wants to know, the brand it's called Starkey, Starkey. So if you're a veteran, ask your VA doctor, ask your audiologist at the VA about that. And I think that you qualify every certain number of years for free hearing aids. And then also, I guess this technology is available to everybody. It's just that he gets them provided through the VA. And I was talking about it yesterday, so I wanted to let people know. And somebody emailed me about it, and I will send you the pictures. But I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that this is what it was. Okay. Anybody that has a question about it, though, just email me. It's info@marygracemedia.com. And we'll see how it goes. He's still a little confused about all the buttons, but it does have volume control on the hearing aids themselves. So it's not just the device. You don't have to use the remote for volume control. So we'll see how it goes. Before he forgot to charge them, I was using the little microphone. It's like a lapel mic, and it was actually helpful because I didn't have to shout. And when we're in the car, I can just talk to him. I don't have to turn my head for him to read my lips for the most part. He has a pretty profound hearing loss, so there's a limit to what this device can do. Okay, any questions about that? The chat just went silent all of a sudden. I don't know if that many people are here. You just got here, Joanne. You just got here. Okay. Now, a couple things I wanted to talk about today. I was on the prayer call with President Trump. It turns out that they shared that publicly. So that was good. I shared it in my Telegram. I am on Telegram, Mary Grace Media Official. And so I wanted to let you guys know that that was on YouTube on Intercessors for America channel. And that's great because, the more the better. And he was talking mainly. He wasn't praying. He was taking questions from faith leaders. And then Pastor Paula White opened the prayer call. And then Pastor Robert Morris closed it with prayer. And the president took questions during the call. He took questions from Christian faith leaders and Jewish faith leaders, one in particular. And that was it. And so I think it's important for people to pay attention, to what he actually does and doesn't do. And in this particular case, it is important that people understand the foundations of our nation and of our Constitution and of the freedoms that we have. It's a Judeo-Christian foundation. And certain ideologies that are at play in different parts of the world really don't have a place in our faith, uh, in our freedoms, and in our government. And that is something that I think a lot of people don't get. And I'm being a little obtuse. I'm sort of dancing around the topic here, but fundamentally, there are beliefs and ideologies that just do not align with the Judeo-Christian foundation upon which our Constitution was written, the Declaration of Independence. And there's some debate about that. I think there are some people who have kind of a universalist view and have been gaslit into believing that it's all one, and that it's all about just peace and equity and equality and things like that. It's actually not. And when you look at what's happening in Afghanistan, I think that if you look at the predominant religion there in a country that is actually a theocracy, just like Iran, you can see in the desperation of the women, husbands who were helping Americans in that country were giving their wives, uh, when they left their wives alone after the fall of Afghanistan, their wives were given instructions either to basically to shoot themselves, because they knew what was going to happen to them if they were taken, if they were found out and taken by the Taliban. You had women handing their babies over the wall to the American soldiers. That alone is enough to tell you that even the people who are subject to that, um, um, the people who are subject to that kind of tyranny and to that religion, which is the government and the religion are one and the same. they know. They know what's coming, and they know that America represents freedom. They know that their one last hope for their child is to hand them over into the hands of an American. And and so when you have, when you have people in this country who are telling you something else about that religion, when they're telling you that you're racist because you understand more deeply the fundamentals of what it is that they are espousing. Just take a look at the actions of the people who are now going to be subject to that. They're subject to it. It's not a choice. It is not, it has nothing to do with freedom. There is no freedom of religion there in those, for people who are living under that ideology. There it just isn't. This is not a personal feeling that I have. This is not a judgment of the individual people. I feel very deeply sorry for the people who are subject to this, whether it's in this country or abroad. And this is something that is fundamentally just very important for people to understand. If I speak out against that religion, it's not that I don't like the people. It's that I understand the ideology and the principles upon which that religion is based. And there is no choice in it. There is no freedom of choice. In spite of the fact that some of the leaders of that ideology have aligned themselves with the women's movement in America, there's an underlying reason that they've done that. And one of the reasons is that they understand and they know that women in the West are pro abortion. And one of their one of their goals and part of their manifesto is to take over the population. And what better way to do it than to encourage Western women to abort their babies? They're not aborting their babies themselves. That's against their religion. But if they can get American women to think that that is right and good, and that it's their right to do that, then of course they're going to align with them. Do you understand that? Do you understand the deception behind the ideology? They're actually part of their manifesto and their uh, belief system is that they are actually sanctioned to lie. They're told to lie. How did I get down this little rabbit trail? I got down this because I think people need to understand what's happening here. And and they need to understand too how closely it's aligned with what we're seeing in the ideology that has crept into this country. Whether it's communism, whether it's radical, that other word, whether it's all tightly intertwined because it's based on death. It's a spirit of death, and it's not based on life. It's not based on choice. And what better illustration than for me to tell you that not even a week after the fall of Afghanistan, not even a week after we have lost 13 servicemen to a suicide bomber, uh, then we find out that, lo and behold, guess who's going to partner with Afghanistan to rebuild their country? Oh, you guessed it, China. Oh my gosh, I'm so shocked. Not really at all, not shocked at all, because think about it. There are many people who believe that this withdrawal, this botched withdrawal, this absolute train wreck of a withdrawal from a country was intentional. That and we know that Beijing Biden basement Joe is not acting of his own accord. It's almost as though somebody gave him orders to do the withdrawal in the way that he did and to lie about it, to lie about the situation on the ground. Did you get that feeling that he was following orders and that he wasn't actually making the decisions himself? Well, think about it. Think about who actually owns that family. Think about who got a brokerage deal with China when his father was a vice president, who traveled on Air Force Two to China and came away with over $1 billion in assets to manage through with Chinese businesses. Oh, that's right, Hunter Biden. So let's reflect for a minute and think about who actually owns the person that's sitting in the White House and who's calling the shots. Does it surprise you that that person has made those decisions and that now you have an announcement? This is being reported by Jack Posobiec over at Human Events, um, that now Afghanistan is gladly taking the help of China to build their country. Wait, what? 20 years of blood, sweat, and toil in that country, trillions of dollars of investment by Westerners, mostly American, to stabilize and build in that country, nation building, whatever you want to call it. And, not even a week after we lose our soldiers to their suicide bomber, are they in bed with China? What a slap in the face. Those of us who are awake knew that was happening. We've known it all along. We understand this. Nevertheless, it's still just absolutely devastating and appalling. It is criminal what's happening. And let's not forget, uh, the the it's not just China. So if you think about in geography where this country is, I'm just going to pull it up on my map here because this is important. Afghanistan is a critical piece of real estate out in that part of the world, and it's right next door to Pakistan, which is right next door to India, and all of the stands, right? So Pakistan is right next door to India, which is right next door to Nepal, which has been um, taken over by the Chinese, and they've been occupied by the Chinese for quite some time. And then you've got Burma, which is also occupied. It's communism. It's communist, and Mongolia, Russia. So that whole territory there is territory that is mineral rich, that is oil rich, and Afghanistan is right in the middle of all of that. And of course, it's right next door to Iran. So think about it. If you're China and you want to get access to Iran, you already have access, but you want to bridge the gap between Iran and Pakistan, two sworn enemies of America. What do you want to have? What's standing in your way? Literally, a country called Afghanistan that is occupied or that has American troops in it. And so when you manage to get your puppet in the White House, what is the first thing you're going to do? You're going to give him orders to get out and get out now. And by the way, it doesn't hurt that they've actually lined his pockets and and paid him off, and that they have more than enough blackmail over him through his son, who is a drug addict, and among other things. Do you see how that works? Do you see why those of us who have been paying attention to this have been so incensed, and we've been sounding the alarm about what's going on with this family? This is not a benevolent grandfatherly figure who just makes bumbles every now and then. He's not just a bumbling grandfather. He's a man who is compromised from the word go and who pimped out his son. My broadcast is probably going to get taken down for this, but whatever. Who pimped out his son to foreign interests who want world domination. Let's just call it what it is. That's what they want. There's no sugarcoating this. They've infiltrated every part of our society. All you have to do is turn on the news, whether it's the fake news or the real news, mostly the real news. Look at the new media today, and you'll see on every single channel parents who are in school board meetings who are absolutely livid over what their children are being taught, whether it's critical race theory, outright Marxism, or other things. The 1619 curriculum, that America was founded on racism. There are so many things that are directly influenced by the CCP. Should I go on? Should I go on and tell you about how the universities in this country have been paid off to enforce COVID regulations? Should I tell you about the governors who've been paid off to enforce lockdowns and COVID regulations in this country? People need to wake up and understand what's going on here. This is not just an innocent scenario here and there where you have a rogue school board member or a rogue teacher who is foisting their ideology on students. You have an entire nation that has been infiltrated from the inside out, and you have a person in the White House who is in bed with the sworn enemy of America. So let's just keep in mind that the sworn enemies of this country are China, Iran, Pakistan, and they're all in bed together. It doesn't matter what you call them. It is all this it's just different colors of the same animal, different fur patterns. That's all. It's the same thing. It's evil. It's evil ideology that is seeking to take over this country. The other piece of it is that you have the globalists. You have the globalists who are, in many cases, pulling the strings behind all of it. And that actually is probably the most scary and the most insipid part of this, because those are the people that are behind the scenes. I'm talking about the globalists, the Illuminati, the cabal, whatever you want to call them. Those are the ones that put the Chinese out to do their dirty work. They're the ones who are pulling the strings, really, though. And is one of the biggest things that's an issue here is that part of their agenda is population control. And that has been their agenda for a very, very long time, since the earliest diseases that were unleashed on the population. You guys know that, right? And so, I mean, think about China. One of the reasons that they don't have any women and that their men can't find husbands is that they aborted all the female babies to control the population. And so I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here, but I'm trying to pull together some strings and some threads of some pieces of this tapestry that a lot of people have not understood so far. And it's important that people understand that. So many people have abdicated. So many people have abdicated what even the basic understanding of how things work. And I know that it's complex and I know that it's not exciting or sexy. It's not a Netflix story, but it actually is. It's the real story, and it's the most important story, because if they succeed, then our country is done. Our young republic is over. And I don't believe they're going to succeed, but I talked about this yesterday and I want to emphasize it again. And uh, that is that the 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 important thing that people need to understand is that it's the people, it's we the people that are having to finally to wake up and to get involved and to make a stand, to take a stand. That is what President Trump has been talking about for so long, that it's a personal choice, that our movement is about returning power to the people, restoring power to the people. It's the government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. Those individuals that are elected, that are sitting in these seats of authority, are there by the consent of the governed and only by the consent of the governed. And they need to understand that they can be removed just like that. And that is what is happening in the country. And that's what we're seeing right now. And as painful as it is to witness all of the tragedy and the absolute trampling of people's rights, I believe that we never ever would have gotten to this place where we're seeing people go to the school board meetings and stand up for the rights of their children, for going to the supervisor meetings, standing up to keep to keep from being forced to take any medical procedure on themselves. I truly believe, and I know that we would not be in this place had not President Trump, uh, first of all, given us the courage to stand up and to call a spade a spade. He's the one of the people who did that. Nobody fought back before, especially Republicans. I mean, they were just a bunch of mealy mouth little mamby pamby uniparty. Um, uh, what's the word? Cucks. That's what Republicans have been, because the Republican leadership has benefited financially just as much, if not more, by losing than by winning and enacting the agenda that the people actually want. I mean, how many times have you gotten a fundraising letter from somebody that actually should have won a race, and then right after they lose, it's, "Aw, shucks, gee, donate here so we can win again next time." It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where does all that money go? How can you have so much money to campaign and so much backing of the people and still lose? Oh, wait, I know. It's rigged. You actually never intended to win because you don't have any vested interest in getting something done. Your main emphasis, your entire purpose in life is to sit there and get rich off of the blood, sweat, and tears of the American people. Am I right? I think I am. Now, what he is emphasizing now is that it's we, the people. The people are the ones who have to take back our freedoms. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And it is it's infuriating, it's appalling to watch what's happening. It's frustrating to no end when we hear stories of people, being forced to choose between their job and putting something into their body that they don't want. It's infuriating to to see what they're teaching in the schools, but but we have parents who are standing up. We have parents who are going to these school board meetings and saying, "No, you will not mask our children. You will not teach them this crap, Marxism, critical race theory. We are done." And I just want to tell you that there's no way that we would be in this place had it not been for everything that President Trump taught us. He brought to our attention what was going on beneath the surface. And now it's no longer beneath the surface. Now, that being said, I think we're going to find out about even more things that are more appalling that they've been doing for a long time that we don't quite know about yet. And I think some of the prophetic voices have been saying that too. But it's gratifying right now to see people standing up, to see people going and showing up en masse. If you saw the video that came out from Project Veritas out in Sacramento, they exposed a government teacher who was indoctrinating, who was openly bragging about indoctrinating children in Marxist, fascist, Antifa ideology, who had pictures of Chairman Mao and Kim Jong Un and dictators uh, on his wall, and this was exposed, and within 24 hours, the parents and people all over the country were inundating the school board, inundating the school, and demanding that this teacher be fired. He was initially put on paid leave, and then he was put on unpaid leave, and then he was fired. And the parents went to the school board meeting, and they just let him have it. And that is what it has to come to, you guys. It has to come to that. And so this is um so this is good. It's important. I want to read you a letter that I got about something that happened in Virginia. So was in Prince William County. So this is Virginia for Educational Freedom. All right. I get on all these mailing lists now because I was a delegate for the governor's race. Uh, oh, Pat has an interesting question. Don't the administrators ever go into their teachers' rooms? No. And if they do, Pat, they're not, how do I put this? I know there are some good people out there in education, but what I do know is that having been a teacher, I can say that most people in administration are um, all about their career. They're not there to make waves. They're there to be as politically correct as possible. Most of them come out, they get their doctorates from, highly leftist, liberal think tank kind of universities. And they don't even probably recognize that there's a problem, to be honest. And when it comes to curriculum, don't expect them to know what's actually supposed to be taught. I mean, let's just say they're not the sharpest knives in the drawer. Okay. They might have a lot of letters behind their name, but that's where it stops. Now, I want to read you this thing that happened. This is last night was an epic moment in Manassas, Virginia. So this is Northern Virginia. This is a bedroom community which is about an hour outside of Washington D.C. And it used to be all rural farmland, absolutely as conservative as it comes. And this is um, this is what happened. It said, and I don't have the pictures because for some reason they're not loading on my email, which is really frustrating. I can't get them to load on the website either. But but this is what it says. It says parents and residents of Prince William County showed up in force at the school board meeting to say enough is enough. They've had it with the self-serving politics, the lack of transparency, the underhanded attempts to undermine parental authority, the racist curriculum, and even the mask mandates. Despite attempts to force attendees to wear masks, the staff were unable to stop the fed up parents and citizens uh, from entering the meeting room with uncovered faces. Parents also rearranged chairs as they saw fit. Now, remember, guys, I've been telling you the only way to get back your freedom is to take it. They're not going to give it to you. These people, the school board people at this school district who are elected or who are hired and paid with your dollars, your money, are sitting there thinking that they can tell parents where they can sit and how far apart they have to sit. Not happening. These parents took back their freedom. They said no. That's what it has to come to, people. When the school board tried to reduce the public comment time from 3 minutes down to two for each speaker, due to, okay, get this, wait for it, wait for it. Why do you think they tried to reduce the public comment time? Can anybody guess the reason that they gave for reducing the public comment time? Go ahead, I'll wait. Can anybody guess their reason? This is rich. This is classic. Okay, I'm going to tell you. When the school board tried to reduce the public comment time from 3 minutes down to two for each speaker due to the rain outside, it was raining. It was raining. It was raining. Due to the rain, seriously? The parents weren't having it. The raucous demands from the crowd forced the school board to concede to the original time limit. The school board was reminded who was boss, the parents and the taxpayers, not themselves. So this is so good. It's so perfect. And so you can go to their website. It's Virginia for Educational Freedom. It's educationalfreedom.org. Educationalfreedom.org is the website where you can go. And they're working on demanding school choice in Virginia as well. Yeah, it was the rain. Yeah, I mean, more dangerous than COVID, probably. Okay. Now, Pat has a question, and I think this is a good question because, this is something that we deal with our kids. because i- she says, Mary Grace, why can't parents take a stand about the masks and send their kids to school without masks? Remember, the schools get paid by student attendance, right? They can't send kids home because then no money. Now, that's a good question. Here's the thing. Think back to when you were in school. What was the one thing that you did not want above all else? Most kids feel this way. You don't want to stand out. When you're young, you just want to get along. You don't want to you don't want to stand out. I mean, I remember, when I was growing up, I had a Southern accent, and I had a difficult last name, and every single time, every single school year, the first thing that I did was I went up to the teacher privately before class, before they called the roll, because I knew they were going to mess up my last name. And I would very politely and quietly say, when you get to my name, please understand that this is how you pronounce my name. And I didn't like my middle name either. So I said, it's just Mary. So think about this. If you're a child, are you really going to want to be the only one that goes to school without a mask on? I didn't have the boldness then that I have now. That it's very stressful for these kids. And even like my niece is 20, and she's pretty bold. I mean, she's been working in a restaurant for 2 years. She's been, in management over people twice her age, and she is incredibly bold in her ability to do that. When it comes to being singled out over a mask in a situation like that, it's a completely different story. And the and the other thing to remember too is that, and this is something that Carolyn Leaf has talked about, the brain of a child, especially a teenager, they experience things, they experience things intensely, way more intensely than we do. So, for example, if you think that your teenager is overreacting to something, to you it's overreacting. But when they have a, when there's something that causes them to get upset, they feel it just incredibly more intensely than we do. Like, we're just sitting there saying, okay, calm down, don't go into hysterics over this. Like, they're literally going into hysterics because that's how their brain is functioning at that age. In a lot of ways, they can't control it. I don't know if you know that. And so something that to you just seems just like just not like a nothing burger is actually a crisis to them. And these are some reasons that um, that it's hard to expect a child, one or two kids, just to go by themselves. I mean, I get it. If my kid, it depends on the personality too, but it's hard to ask your kid to go and be that one that's standing up, because truly, we are the ones that are given the the responsibility to stand up for our kids and protect them. So if anything, um, it's the parents. It's on the parents. And this is why, the mama bears out in Iowa, they are the ones who stood up for their children. Because, when their children actually got the exemption from the mask, their children were actually isolated and shamed and forced to distance. Like, one of them, her daughter was made to sit inside of a plastic box because she wasn't wearing a face diaper, and she was made to walk 6 feet behind the line. Imagine being that kid when you're 9 years old, being forced to sit in a cubicle surrounded by plastic and not interacting with any of the kids because you have a mask exemption. So this is what they're faced with, you know, and it's it's unbelievable because they're doing everything they're doing flies in the face of proper proper child development, and they know that. Anybody an education that actually paid attention in child development classes knows that what they're doing is child abuse. It's nothing short of child abuse. Can you imagine being a teacher and putting one child, isolating a child like that, and thinking for even half a second that that's okay? Imagine that. Imagine being that teacher. Shame on you. Shame on you. Imagine being that administrator walking into a classroom in a being a principal and walking in and seeing it was probably actually the principal's idea, but thinking that's okay ever. Imagine doing that to to an autistic child, or to a child in a wheelchair, or to a child who has epilepsy, right? Can you imagine the outrage? But because it's a child who can't conform to their stupid, stupid, ridiculous, unscientific mask rules, it's okay. It's like all the rules of decorum and behavior and respect and equality, they all went out the window with COVID. It's like none of that ever existed. And it's the same even in the business sector. I mean, I've been in situations either personally or with my dad where nobody even pretends to have any manners at all. There's no respect for the elderly. You see this in the hospitals, you see this in the nursing homes, the way that they've treated people. It's absolute 100% outright abuse. And ADA law, the respecting your elders, just treating people with basic common decency, staying out of people's business. That, like, leave me alone. Stop asking me what I've put into my body. It's none of your business. Medically, it's none of your business. All the rules have just completely gone out the window, and they've used COVID as the excuse. I mean, it really is the biggest excuse for poor behavior, abuse, lack of job performance, lack of service, anything. It's blame it on COVID. Whatever. Your package is in there. COVID. The mail isn't coming. COVID. We disrespected your veteran senior citizen dad. COVID. We did illegal things to your kids without you knowing. COVID. We isolated your child who is who is who's special needs. COVID. Seriously, it's the blanket excuse for poor behavior in the entire world now. Oh, we fired you from your job because you're not willing to take an experimental substance into your body. COVID. We put you in a camp for disagreeing. COVID. I mean, it's replaced everything. It's replaced every other excuse for bad behavior ever invented. COVID. You know? And you can throw it back in their faces sometimes. If you do something that somebody doesn't like, oh, COVID. 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 COVID made me do it. It's basically synonymous with the devil, right? Oh, the devil made me do it. Remember how people used to always say that? The devil made me do it. COVID made me do it. Same thing, because it's demonic. The spirit behind it is demonic. So I wanted to read a comment up here. Somebody said about their daughter who was losing her job. Let me find this. Okay, somebody said, did you see the meme saying just set up the kids' desks like restaurant tables, then the masks, where they could wear the mask to the table and take them off at the table? That's so perfect. I want to put a tablecloth in every classroom, on every table. It's a restaurant. Put a candle on the table. So perfect. Let's see. Millie says admin want as little responsibility as possible. They want to pass the buck on any issue until you have a reason to sue them. Yeah, I was on the receiving end of that when I was a teacher who had a child. I had a couple of situations when I was teaching kindergarten and first grade with children who had very that very strong issues, deep, deep concerns that in some cases it was either a neglect issue or a violence issue. I mean, I had a kid who was threatening to shoot up the whole classroom, 5 years old, right? And the administrator did not have my back at all. And in one situation, he acted like he had my back. And then when the parents came, he sat there and turned 180 degrees on me and looked at me like I was the crazy one. It was unbelievable. Yeah. So, and it's all because he was angling to be a principal at a new school that was being built. And so he didn't want to make any waves. He didn't want anybody to be mad at him. He just wanted to be politically correct about everything. So he completely threw me under the bus in a parent conference when the child was the child who really suffered because the child needed intervention on some very specific things and he wasn't willing to go there and have that conversation, that hard conversation with the parents. Reprehensible, just ridiculous. Okay. Um, this is what Joyce says. My daughter's quitting her job over the jab. Her oral surgery practice has mandated the jab. Even with an exemption letter, she would have to pay for weekly tests. Sounds like a lawsuit to me, Joyce. Maybe she should get in touch with Thomas Rentz at America's Frontline Doctors because that's not a reasonable accommodation at all. So, especially if she's objecting over religious reasons, that's actually religious persecution. Something to think about. Okay. My granddaughter's school rules: kids can be maskless with a parental note. She's only one of 200 class without a mask, and she's cool with it in Arizona. Okay, that's good. Yeah. That's not. It's not always like that, though. Not every kid has. It also depends on how the teacher handles it. You know, I mean, if it were my classroom, I would 100% be saying, uh, everybody's choice here is their choice, and we're not ridiculing kids with it or without it. And anybody that does answers to me. That would kind of be the end of that. Okay. Let's see. Somebody said, oh my gosh, my county is doing this Hope in a Dose campaign. Are you kidding me? Phew. My daughter identified as a business traveler dining alone in 3rd grade. That's funny. Um, at our local schools, they're making the kids eat in the gym on the bleachers 6 feet apart. Just, yeah. Was the 5-year-old an FBI informant? No. The 5-year-old had some serious mental problems. How can we help unjabbed medical workers with integrity band together to form a shadow industry we can trust? That's what Lynn Wood is doing. That's what Lynn Wood is doing with the Strike Back for Freedom. You should go to that. You should go to the website strikebackforfreedom.org, I think it is, or .com, one or the other. They're actually identifying people who are, you know, patriotic people that are being vetted for um, for providing services. Now we already have a lot of those. We have a we have the frontline doctors, we have Synergy Health. There are doctors locally that are treating patients, um, that are thinking, that are like-minded, that are thinking the same lines as you are. So they are there, they can be identified, uh, and so that's part of what we're working on right now. Now, this is something that I've been thinking about. Speaking of which, uh, the president on the prayer call today, I'm going to switch the topic back to this. He said again, he emphasized that he emphasized again that um, he was really proud of getting the thing rolled out, Operation Warp Speed. He didn't say that specifically, but he said the thing, and then he talked about therapeutics. And he emphasized again that had he not done what he did, that we would have had a 1917 situation where we would have lost over 100 million people. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I've been talking about it on the show. because I told you that the quick response that he had at the time, where, he deployed the military all over the country, he had military hospitals in place. He was really actively uh, proactive about this. And if we look at the mortality rates of the Rona, even with putting people in nursing homes, even with the complete and utter lack of medical curiosity in treating it, we already know that, only a small percentage of the people who died actually had to die. Can we agree on that? That it wasn't nearly as fatal as they led us to believe. Now, the fear mongering was actually, to me, more dangerous than the virus ever was. And so you think about that, and you think about the fact that the variant is running rampant now. And he brought that up on the prayer call. He said, "Listen, if it were me, and we were in a situation that we're in right now, where it's just ramping up again, and more people are getting sick, there would be no end to the coverage." And he's right. And then he said, thank God I did what I did with the shot, with the therapeutics, etc. Otherwise, we would have had a situation where we lost over 100 million people. So, given what we know about the fatality rate of the Rona, even then and now, even with all of the major screw ups and intentional uh, situations, for example, where they put the elderly into nursing homes, where they ventilated people who shouldn't have been ventilated, where they listened to baby Mengele and gave everybody remdesivir and put them into pulmonary embolism and basically drowned them in their own bodily fluids. That's what that is, okay? Even in spite of all of that, we didn't have the fatality rate that he's talking about, okay? And so I'm gonna go back to my original theory, which is that there was something else that he knew about that he prevented, because, um, because I believe, and given what we know now about these sociopaths who are who are pushing the new world order, the great reset, sociopaths behind it, given what we know, I think it's pretty safe to say that President Trump was and still is well aware of a mass extinction event that was poised to take place, and that they were threatening him with. And um, as much as you want to hate on him and throw doubt about him and be upset about him, why is he pushing this? Why is he talking about the vax? Why is this? Why doesn't he tell everybody it's horrible? Right? As much as it's hurting people right now, as much as you think that it's a horrible situation, I'm going to stand by my assertion that there was something that was way, way, way worse that the deep state was threatening. That is what I think was happening. And that is why I think that he continues to say and to drive home the point that his actions saved over 100 million people. And he's not saying that just for you and me. He's saying that to the deep state. He's rubbing it in their face and saying, "You didn't win." So that's important to remember. Listen to the words that he says. Listen to when he talks about that. He's telegraphing to you what actually happened without broadcasting it yet, because it's a lot of optics going on right now. There are many, many, many moving parts that he is aware of, most of which the average person is not aware of. And so when he puts out these statements, when he says the things that he says, he's not just talking to you or me or even the normies. He's also talking to his enemies. And he's telling them, you didn't win and you're not going to, because we are winning, even though in some ways it looks like we're not. Okay. One example of winning is that the Supreme Court actually did something right yesterday. They upheld the Texas ban on abortions once there's a fetal heartbeat. That's a huge, huge, huge win because there is a case coming up in the Supreme Court having to do with Roe v. Wade. And so this is big. This is a big deal. And in spite of everything that we feel is wrong right now, this is something that I've been trying to emphasize. And I was talking about yesterday. We really need to look at the wins as well. And we need to keep track of those because it's very easy to partner with doom and despair. It's a lot harder to identify and to speak life into a situation. But that's actually what we're commanded to do as Christians. And so, you know, the normal deep state players are outing themselves. John Roberts sided with the Democrats on that one. Yeah, he was never a conservative. Let's just face it. And he's deeply, deeply compromised. And so, but he's gonna have to pay the piper on that. He's it. There's still a chance to repent, but you know, it's like our favorite letter of the alphabet said with regard to certain people, no deals, no deals. And so, some people I think are still being given opportunity to come clean. Maybe some aren't. Maybe some have already had to spill the beans and give up what they knew. It's interesting because there's certain people that we haven't seen much of lately. Has Hildebeest made any statement about what happened in Afghanistan? I mean, she was, after all, responsible for what happened in Benghazi. Wouldn't you think she would have come out and said something to the families of the fallen soldiers? Probably not. But where is she? It's a good question, isn't it? Where is she? Where is she? Where is Meemaw Cankles? Where is she? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So, you might think that nothing's happening. You might think that everybody's getting away with it. Um, but maybe not. Maybe there's more going on in the background than you realize. Okay. So, I wanted to let you guys know with the schedule the way that it is right now, just keep in mind that I will be back on Monday. I'll probably do something earlier in the day like this because I have a contractor working at the house. Those of you who missed the show yesterday, I do have some travel dates coming up where I will not be doing a show. The first one is week after next. Oh, look at that. It's 4:44. Week after next, I'm going to be away. And so from the week of September 13th, no show, no broadcast. And then the week of September 27th. So I'll be off those weeks, and that's just sort of continuing out the summer. I've got some work things going on and I've got some family things going on. So please put that on your calendar. Don't panic if you don't see me broadcasting, and make sure that you keep my channel bookmarked so that you can follow me and get and get the broadcast when I do them. Okay. So, and again, check your times. I would say start looking for a show mid-afternoon from me because I have a contractor who works another job, and so he's coming when he can to work, and that is why that's why I'm coming on at different times. To be honest, this is actually a less stressful time for me because of my dad. Sometimes it's a little crazy doing a 5:30 show and then getting dinner for him because he starts getting antsy at about 6 o'clock. Old people, routines, that's the situation. So, anyway, we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna work on Labor Day. Yeah, I'll do a show. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not panic, it's withdrawals. Yeah. Well, get caught up on your other podcast. That's a good thing to do. And keep me in your prayers for sure. If you haven't already, gotten on superfoods, make sure you do that. We really don't know what is going to happen, especially with the supply chain. We have a good supply chain with our superfoods manufacturer. I would definitely consider stocking up because of some of the things that are uh, happening in the near future in terms of like the trucking strike and things like that. I would definitely think about stocking up on food that is shelf stable, like superfoods. Okay. So make sure that you write to me, info@marygracemedia.com, and get a voucher for your superfood so you can save over $100 off of a 30-day supply. I actually just ordered mine for the month and I ordered extra because I don't know what's going to happen. Plus, we're going to be traveling. I have my dad on superfoods too. So, um, okay. Uh, your doctor said you can't go on superfoods. Why? Why would he say that? That's crazy. It's food. Is he objecting to organic food? What is it that he's objecting to? Plant-based diet, organic. I would be interested to know what he said. Maybe you should write to me. info@marygracemedia.com. I'll be back Monday. Everybody have a great afternoon. And your endocrinologist, yeah, write to me, Sheila. We'll have to talk because if it's about diabetes, I've had people actually lower their insulin on the superfoods. So yeah. So anyway, crazy. All right, everybody have a good weekend, and I will be back Monday. So start checking your channels at around 3. If you come back on the replay, especially on YouTube and Cloud Hub, please make sure that you please make sure that you please make sure that you leave a comment, and that helps everything show up in the algorithm. Your endocrinologist recommended the jab. See, yeah, endocrinologist. Yeah. Curious if I saw your email yesterday. I thought it was about Preston. I'll have to take a look again. I got kind of busy last night, so I have to go back and look. Yes, I have superfoods. info@marygracemedia.com. Write to me. All right, everybody have a good evening. I'll talk to you later. Take care, everybody. Thank you to the moderators.